something I found very interesting, MLB Trade Rumors, who I think does an incredible job, by the way. Shout out to MLB Trade Rumors. They do an awesome job keeping up with every piece of information from every team. They do really good work. Their arbitration estimates are great. They usually hit most of those numbers very, very close. They wrote something though recently that I completely think they're off base on. And it's okay. They might miss on a few local things. They said the Reds expect to non-tender Santiago Espinal. And I just cannot see that simply because of his usage in the second half of last season. I mean, they played him almost every day. Why would you play a guy every single day if you're going to non-tender him? And on top of that, he played as well as he possibly could have played. So if you were playing him to kind of see if he'd earn a spot, which it kind of felt like that maybe what the Reds were thinking, well, he couldn't have played any better than he played in the second half. So that news to me just did not make sense. Do you see it any different?
Not necessarily different, but I guess I could kind of see the rationale behind it because you got to figure a lot of his playing time was due to guys that were hurt or when Marte came back and struggled, and they kind of went back to Santiago at third a lot more. And to your point, it's because he had a pretty hot ad. I mean, the guy had some good pop for a majority of the season, it seemed like. Um, so I don't know. I mean, if the Reds are, knock on wood, as healthy as they can be going into next year, I think we talked about it on the last show that I was on. They certainly have kind of a log jam in the infield, and maybe that's kind of what they're factoring in. But I mean, to your point, as a guy like, production wise, I certainly a guy that you would like to have on your team. Now, I don't know if he's going to be super happy with being, relegated to like a utility role or something like that. But I mean, if you look at teams that have kind of gone on historic, good runs in the past, they have that good guy that they can plug in pretty much everywhere. And Santiago, at least, I think fills that void, both offensively and defensively. So he's super useful to me. I just don't know, maybe they just don't have him in like the long term, couple years out type of plans where they want to keep him. But no, I mean, to your point, he was awesome, towards the latter half of last year for sure. And they definitely needed it.
Yeah, and it honestly to me felt like someone who was writing that just straight up looked at Santiago Espinal's stats for overall and said, "Oh yeah, the Reds are going to keep that guy." Because if you look at his stats overall, he had a 75 WRC plus, 25% below average, had a flat zero wins above replacement. So not negative. That's good because there were several negative Reds players, but not positive. So I think if you just look at his stats, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, the Reds are going to pay him about $4 million, which was their arbitration projection." But if you watch the games every day, you track the Reds every day, like unfortunately I did during last season, he was absolutely abysmal the first month and a half of the season. And while I don't think he's going to be anywhere near like what he was in the second half, I don't think he's going to be a hit. He had a 337 on base percentage in the second half. Ended up with a 100 WRC plus, but he had a couple months in July, 219 weighted runs created plus. So that's 119% better than league average. And in August, it was 143. So, like, I don't think he's going to be anywhere close to that. But I just think the guy got off to a really bad start after getting traded, and his numbers kind of reflected that. To me, the Reds' usage with him down the stretch, they could have given those at bats to Blake Dunn and shifted guys around. They could have given those at bats to Will Benson and shifted guys around. They could have gave more at bats to Noelvi Marte. It's just, to me, if you weren't planning on keeping Espinal, I just don't think you would have given him the same run that you did. So I would be very shocked. I could be wrong. I wouldn't be distraught if the Reds tried to find someone better than Santiago Espinal. But just in terms of, for me, looking at this roster and trying to build a winner, just feels like having Santiago Espinal on your bench is a good way to go and fill other pieces around that. Now, I do not want Santiago Espinal being penciled as a starter. Maybe be very, very clear on that. That would be a very bad offseason if that happens. But Santiago Espinal as a bench player, I don't think you're gonna do much better than that. And I think it's nice to kind of have a guy that's a little bit of a veteran as well.
Yeah, it's a team that doesn't have a lot of veteran presence for sure. And I think his kind of track record of, being an all-star when he's with Toronto and things like that, at least, builds a little bit of respect probably in the clubhouse. And he seems like a, good enough guy to where people would respect him and kind of take his feedback. So, I think to your point, he's kind of a break glass in case of emergency type guy if we need to start him. As the years progress, we definitely do always see, injuries come up, unfortunately, and he's a good guy that you can plug in and rely on, I think. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Yes, sir. Well, Austin, really, as always, appreciate your time. Appreciate you helping me collaborate on some ideas, keep some fresh content up this off season. I'll continue to have you as many times as you'll come back. I enjoy talking ball with you. We got some more content coming up here. I'm hopefully recording something later tonight as I actually record this that'll release later in this week. Gonna hopefully have 2 parts with a really interesting guy. I'll just tease it at that for now. But we're gonna try to have as much content as we can this off season, as time allows in our busy schedules. So stay tuned for that. And of course, if there's any breaking news, we'll try to get stuff up as quick as we can, even if it's as simple as Reds hiring a hitting coach. Me and Greg, we got something up, I think, within an hour and a half after that up on YouTube and had it in your podcast feed the next day. So we'll continue as much as possible to keep tabs on that as, the World Series is almost over. It's going to be over soon. If the Yankees don't come back as we record, that's going to be over probably really soon. And then we'll be into some offseason talk, and there's going to be a lot of interesting things that we'll have to discuss. So looking forward to that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. That does help us out. Comment if you think if you think I'm an idiot for thinking Santiago Espinal is worthy of a spot. Tell me I'm an idiot. I appreciate hearing that. And also be curious your thoughts on the FanDuel Sports Valley Sinclair Diamond duo and what you'd like to maybe see happen. So leave us a comment. If you are listening in podcast form, make sure you subscribe to Chatterbox Reds wherever you're listening. If you could leave us a 5-star review, we would really appreciate that. All kinds of other great content here on Chatterbox Sports. We, of course, have Chatterbox Bengals. Tough stretch for the Bengals of late. Tough game on Sunday for the Bengals. But our guys at Chatterbox Bengals are doing a great job covering that. Chatterbox Bengals available everywhere you get podcasts. They're live during every single Bengals game for the duration. Jacob Tizet, that dude knows football. I don't understand anything he's saying, but the guy knows what he's talking about. That's really cool. He does live streams for the games. Really fun way to kind of watch and be able to interact. So be sure to check that out as well. They do live shows on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. and Thursdays at 7 p.m. as well. Also have Chatterbox Bearcats. There's about 4 guys now that are covering that. Chuck and Houdini, the two founders and pioneers for that. They go live after every single UC football game, after every single UC basketball game. They're doing some midweek shows as well. So Chatterbox Bearcats, that's on YouTube, and that's also available everywhere you get podcasts. Then, of course, our flagship show, Off the Bench, 10 a.m. to noon on Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, and that's up in the afternoon every day in your podcast feed. So be sure to check out all that great content we have here at Chatterbox Sports. Links to all of that stuff are in the episode notes below. I hope that you have a great day. We'll talk again soon. And as always, go Reds. We also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay.